everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards here for Pawsome Stamps today, and I'm so excited to be bringing you this gorgeous little fall card featuring some of the new products from the new release. So I'm starting out with the Falling Leaves Spotlight Stencil, and then next up I have the Fall Signs stamp set. I love both of these products. They're absolutely amazing. So I have a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock measuring 5.5 by 4.25, and I've gone ahead and placed my stencil down on top of that, and I have kept the inner part of the stencil in there as well. So that's what the magnet is holding down in the middle. It's the center part of the stencil. So you can either have it out or in, depending on what look you're going for, but I wanted the center of my card to remain white, so I've kept it in there just to hold it down. So I'm going in with some Distress Oxide inks. I started out with Barn Door, which is that kind of nice rich red color. Then I'm going in with Spiced Marmalade. And I'm just using a very small blender brush, to add some color to specific areas. And there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just kind of choosing areas and adding a little bit of color. Just kind of working my way around the stencil to make sure that I get a bit of the colors on each side. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed making this today. So next up I've got a Ground Espresso, which is this really rich brown color, and it works really, really nicely. You could obviously choose whatever colors you want. I went in with this Victorian Velvet. I was a little bit unsure about using this color, but I'm really glad I did. I thought it looked really, really pretty, and it worked really nicely, particularly with that brown. So I'm adding a little bit of that all around as well. And then I've just got a few little spaces left. So I've come in with Evergreen Bough, which is I don't know how to describe this green, but it's really pretty, it's really nice, and I thought it looked good with these other colors. And as I say, I'm just kind of working my way around all the stencils so that everything is eventually colored in, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to make. So then we get the big reveal. So I'll take everything off, take that center part out, and you can see how gorgeous is this stencil. It's so much fun. I think it would be amazing with some like stencil pastes. There would be so much you could do with this stencil. I think it would be amazing. So I've gone ahead and stamped out my little scarecrow from the Fall Signs stamp set. I think he's one of my favorite images from this release. I love a scarecrow. And I'm coloring his dungarees in to look like kind of jeans. So I've chosen B99, 97, 95, and 93. So it's quite a lot of colors for a small area. You don't need to use this many, but I just had all the markers, and I really enjoy coloring. It's kind of my downtime, so I enjoy pulling everything out and having a bit of a play around when I'm coloring. So I had a lot of fun today making this card. And isn't he just adorable? I really, really love him. He's such a cute image. This whole stamp set, it's a really large stamp set. There's loads of fun images and lots of great sentiments as well. Lovely sentiments for fall. There's pumpkins, there's scarecrows, there's haystacks, there's a sunflower, all sorts, falling leaves, acorns. You could do so much with this stamp set. You could create such an amazing scene. And I think it just works so nicely with this Falling Leaves Spotlight stencil. So I was really excited to have a go at playing around with this today. So for his little shirt, I'm going in with orange, and I'm using YR18, YR16, and YR12 for that. So just adding a little bit of shading towards the bottom part of his clothes, kind of. I'm never 100% sure where to put my shadows. I just kind of eyeball it and think about where I think it would work best. So again, I'm not an expert, but I just enjoy coloring, so it's always lots of fun. I'm going in to the straw, and I'm using a YR27, 23, and 21 for that. And again, just adding some shading under the hat where it would be a little bit darker, and towards the back of his head, which is a bit covered up. And then going in with my lighter marker. Now these are quite small areas, so you probably don't need 3 markers. I've used 3 just because, as I said, I kind of pulled all my colours out and had a lot of fun. Fall is definitely my favourite time of year. I absolutely love it, and I love everything about it. I love the colours, I love the rich tones, I love pumpkins, I love scarecrows. So I really enjoy this time of year, and I love crafting for fall. So this was so much fun to make today. So I'm just finishing off all of that straw, and then I'm going to move on to his face. And I'm using E53 and E51 for his face. I'm never 100% sure how to colour a scarecrow's face. I guess they're traditionally made out of like old sacks, I suppose. So kind of like a brownie tone would probably work really, really well. But with that straw colour and the orange, I wanted to go for a bit of a lighter shade just to make his little face stand out. And then I'm going in with the YR21 just to add a dot of colour to his nose, and then R20 for his cheeks. Once that's done, it's on to his hat. I'm going to use the B99, 97 and 95 for the band on his hat. These are the same colours that I've used for his little overalls. I didn't want to introduce too many new colours. I wanted to keep it fairly tonal and just kind of use the same colours that I had out. And then for his actual hat, I'm using E87, E84 and E81. I really like these markers. They're kind of a khaki kind of colour. I do find it a little bit tricky sometimes to blend between the E84 and the E81. There's quite a big contrast between those two colours. But I find if you go in a couple of times, give it a couple of coats, that it works out quite nicely. And it does kind of manage to smooth out. And as I say, I kind of thought that they looked really, really good with these other colour combinations that I had. I'm going to do his little bow tie in the same colours as well. And then all that's left to do is the kind of little stick that he's standing on. So for that, I'm going to be using E59 and E57. And I cut him out before I coloured him today, just because I don't always do that, but I was kind of fiddling around with my card and making sure it was all going to fit in together nicely, and I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wanted to make sure it was all going to fit. So that's why I've cut him out before I coloured him. I don't normally do that. So I found this die in my stash. It's just an oval die with a bit of a deckled edge, and I've gone in around, I've cut it from some Desert Storm cardstock, Neenah cardstock, and I've gone around the edges with that same Ground Espresso Distress Oxide ink. I've just used what was left on my blender brush just to add around the edge to kind of create a bit of a tone to the edge of that oval. And I'm trying to center my little scarecrow on top of this oval. And then I've gone ahead and stamped out some of the pumpkins and the little crow, and I'm going to layer them underneath him. So I'm just trying to figure out where they're going to go. I have used the same orange markers that I used for his shirt. So YR18, 16 and 21. And for the crow, I've used N8, N6 and N4. And I'm just going to layer these around. And in the end, I wasn't particularly happy with my placement. I kind of felt like it was a little bit off balance. So I went ahead and stamped out a couple of leaves as well, which you will see in a bit when I come to put it all together. So there we go. I've got my little leaves, and I've used the YR 27, 23 and 21 to colour that leaf in, just to give it a little bit of a golden shade. Now here is this Coffee Llama stamp set, which I have used to get my sentiment, which says sending warm hugs. And I just thought that that was really, really sweet. I'm using some foam squares on the back of my oval just to pop it up. So I'm going to remove all the release paper from that, and I'm going to attach that down into that space in the middle. And I was really happy to kind of stumble across this die. It was one that I had sitting around, and I'm sure any oval nesting dies would work great. Or you could also use the kind of center of the stencil and just trace around it and then cut it out by hand, and it would work perfectly. So I've gone ahead and I've got some orange cardstock, which I've used to create my card base at 5.5 by 4.25. I've stamped the pumpkin in the inside, And then I'm just going to attach this down with some liquid glue on top and just leave a tiny border all the way around. So just trimmed my card front down by about 1/16 of an inch all the way around, just to leave a little bit of a border all the way around. And then I've added some of these cute roasted coffee sequin mix from Pawsons Stamps, just to add a little bit of bling to the front, just kind of putting them in a little trio at either edge of the card, and I'm going to lay them down with some liquid glue, and then I'm going to go in with some Nuvo Crystal drops and ripened pumpkin and just add that to the center of each of those sequins, just to kind of cover up the little holes of the sequins. But I just thought that was kind of a nice little extra to add to my card. And that's it, the card is done, and I really loved making this. I loved doing the stenciling today. It was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do give it a thumbs up if you did. Please do subscribe to the Pawsons Stamps YouTube channel. We would love to have you come back and join us again. And here's a couple of other videos that you might want to check out. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye-bye.